Hi, welcome back to Watchwell Studio. I'm Latch, and this is Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom.
Tom plays a game called Kings of War by Mantic Games, and I've been watching this over the last few months and curious about it. Tom, what can you tell me?
Mantic basically broke off from Warhammer Fantasy, and they developed their own miniatures agnostic game.
So tell me about that, miniatures agnostic.
It means you can use any miniatures to play inside their system, and they encourage that to play this game, especially to get started, because a lot of refugees from the old world would take their older armies, like I have here with my salamanders.
Oh, these are actually Warhammer miniatures.
They are,
Games
yeah.
Workshop miniatures.
Yeah, and we turned them into Mantic salamanders.
Mm-hmm. So this is a Warhammer Fantasy Battles from over a decade ago. Because that was finished in about 2013, something like that?
Yeah, I think so. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little sketchy on the dates, but about 2013, I think, is when they killed the old world.
And those models were rolled into the new game, which was Age of Sigmar.
Sigmar, yeah.
But what people liked about this game, as I remember, was that we could... That there was a tactical and strategic element, which was wheeling the
things,
movement trays. And when we went to Age of Sigmar, we lost this.
Yeah.
And presumably this was good for Games Workshop in one way or another. But for a lot of people who played these games, it was a step backward, and that they lost the thing that they wanted.
And specifically, it's called ranks and flanks.
Ranks and flanks.
So you try to get your the front rank of your troops into either the enemy rear or the enemy flank. And they capture that very well inside the Kings of War system. If your miniature attacks and hits into the side of the flank of the enemy, it gets twice as many attacks. If it hits the rear of the enemy, it gets 3 times as many attacks.
Right. So that's what Mantic have done. So Kings of War was a continuation of Warhammer Fantasy Battles, effectively, and rather than tying it into models with a high degree of detail and specific loadouts for weapons and such like, they just said, bring your old stuff and keep playing Warhammer Fantasy Battles, and they presumably sell their own models, do they?
Yeah, they recently they've opened up a new factory, I think, or they've contracted for a new factory in Poland. So their model quality's gone way up. But really, the advantage of it is a very clean system to play the game, which allows for basically fast games and also not very complicated games.
Right.
You know, as we get older, we have families. It's harder.
We're less interested in a telephone directory.
Yeah.
Telephone directory, kids, is a way you used to look up other people's numbers. It was a thick book with everybody in the town, and their phone numbers listed.
Yeah.
And that's the size of Warhammer or Games Workshop games. You have to buy the book of rules, which describes the game, and then you have to buy a codex or whatever they call it in whichever game, which describes how to play that faction, that army. And so Mantic are also, I've seen the rule books for the games, and they're about the same thickness as the faction rule books in Games Workshop games.
Yeah, Age of Sigmar. Specifically, though, Mantic gets around that in 2 different ways. They have one book that has everything, both all the army lists and the rules in it. And also they released a website called the Mantic Companion, which has all the updated rules, updated quarterly automatically, and then also a website to build your army lists. And that you can print out and kind of easy to understand sheets like this.
All right, so we don't need the books particularly. I think so I've started looking into it because, of course, we were interested in making a video. And I think that the rules of the games are available as a free PDF. Is that right?
Yes, most of the basic rules are free as PDF. They really are pushing just to get models on table and to play the game, which is a nice kind of change from some of the other larger game companies.
Yeah. So I could bring any suitable looking fantasy models to this game. I think I had some wood elves back in the day. Is there a wood elf?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't play the faction, but yes, you can bring those models in.
So there's a rough correlation between what most of the factions Just sort of generally. Presumably, do we get the Games Workshop currently have shark riders, for reasons that I haven't understood, on land? Presumably, we're not doing shark riders in Kings of War. Have you seen those guys? I don't know what they are. They live under the water.
There's a Trident Realms army.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, but if you look at their model line, they're more like frogs and other creatures that would make sense.
Amphibian.
Yeah. There may be a Kraken in there. Yeah, there may be a Kraken in there somewhere because they're just fun to paint and cool. But yeah.
And there's a bit of painting going on here.
Yeah.
You've done these.
I have, yeah.
You're to blame for these.
I am to blame for this.
So if these are 10-year-old models, skinks, are these what these are?
No, those are the Salamander Primes.
Salamander Primes.
Yeah.
Showing my ignorance.
Yeah, or they're called Salamander Primes in Mantic. I don't remember what they're called for in Old World. It's been too many years.
Are these 10 or 15-year-old models?
They are, yeah. I think this particular cut is 10 or 15 years. One of the local guys got so angry about blowing up the Old World. He gave me his entire 6th edition.
Rage quit.
Yeah, he
table
raged.
Flip.
Yeah.
He's finished with it.
Yeah, he was just like, I'm never going to paint it, and I'm never going to go back to Old World.
So is that people continuing to play Warhammer Fantasy Battles, and that's what he was doing? Was he'd been doing it as Warhammer, the legacy system, for the last decade?
I think he just, I think he had stopped playing. But I think they're in Tokyo. I know there's a very committed group of Old Hammer people they have.
Hammer.
Yeah, they maybe have a tournament once every 3 months or so.
Well, I'm fascinated, Tom. Obviously going to have to look at this game a little bit closer. Why don't you give us a brief introduction?
Excellent. I would love to. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Bye-bye.